What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about cleaning our fork seals or repairing a leaky fork seal. So most of the time when you've got a leak coming from your forks, it's not because you need to replace the entire fork seal, which can be very expensive, $400–600, and your dealer's not going to tell you about this trick. They're just going to replace the seals and charge you the money, so you've lost out on that cash and all that time that you could be spending on parts, accessories, and gas and gear and having fun riding. All you need to do is clean the seal, and it's really, really easy to do. Your bike's, if you've got a set of inverted forks like this, your bike's going to have a boot at the bottom that will pop off, and then above that, right about here, is where the actual fork seal is. It's a fancy O-ring. Matter of fact, I've got a set for a different bike over here. So if you can see inside of this bag, this is not a very good demonstration, but it's really like a very, very thick O-ring in a way, right? And so that's what it compresses in here, and it keeps your fork fluid inside of your fork. Now, these things do blow out, they do go bad, and they do need to be replaced, but most of the time, they get some type of debris inside of them. And if you clean them out, which you should do periodically, you can prevent small leaks from occurring, and you can stop small leaks that have started to occur. So the only two tools you need for this today are a flathead screwdriver. If you have like some automotive pry tools, something like this right here, it will work a little better. So this is plastic. It's going to be less, I'm going to put it in front of my face so it focuses. This is plastic. It's going to be less likely to damage anything, but people use flatheads all the time, and that's fine. And this piece right here, and how this works is, and if I can get this to focus on this guy right there. Nope, stay on this. There you go. How this works is this is going to go wrap around your fork tube. This little pointy guy right here, it's real thin, is going to slide up between the fork tube itself here and that gasket, and you're going to spin it around that seal, and it's going to clean out all that grime that's inside of there. And then when you take it out, you might have to do it. You might have to do it, 2 or 3 times, but eventually you'll clean out that debris that's in there, and it will stop the leak. And you will have spent, I don't know, I'll put a link to it in the description, but this thing costs like nothing. You will clean out your seal, and you'll be back on the road in no time, and you won't have to worry to deal with giving the dealer a couple $100, getting your bike to the dealer, all that jazz. So I'm going to show you how to do it real quick. It's only going to take a few minutes, and you can do it yourself at home and be your own mechanic. Now, you can do this with a flathead, but I've got a kind of a interior removal tool that I'm going to use. And what you're going to do is you're going to press in, and you're going to work around this boot here until you can get this down. This is just like a really fancy dust cover. And we will be delicate with this guy. And then once you start to get it broken loose a little bit, it should come down the rest of the way pretty easy. Now if I take my fancy cleaning cloth here, you can see I got a good bit of fork oil in there. It's all kind of nasty. So above this boot that we just took down are your actual fork seals, and they start about, about that high up right there. Most of the time when you have a leaking fork, it's not because you have a blown fork seal, but it's because there's some dirt or grime that's gotten up in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this tool here, and I've got a link to this in the description, where we're going to put this up inside in between the seal and the fork itself, and we're going to rotate it around. And because it has this little hook on here, when we rotate it around, then we're going to pull it down, and it's going to grab all that grime out of there. And that should repair the leak or remove the leak. I'm going to make sure that this tool is very clean on the inside. And I'm going to start it on with the hook side toward me, so that whenever I press it, I want to keep it clean on the inside so that I reduce the probability of scratching my forks. But also, I can really press it up against the forks to slide it up in between the fork seal itself and get inside of there. And then once I get inside of there, I would expect to see some fluid leak out. But then at that point, I'm going to go through, I'm going to turn, then I'm going to pull it back down. I've got this towel down here to capture any of that fluid that comes up. I'm going to put on a set of gloves so I can get a little more grip on it. Comment down below if you also get stuck with slightly sweaty hands and it being impossible to put on gloves. Before I run this tool up there, it's got a sharp thin side, which is what you're going to use when you're cleaning your seal side, but the other side's kind of a little bit thicker. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this towel around here before I clip it on, and I'm going to run this around the bottom of the fork seal so that I can clean out anything that's currently on the bottom of it, which it doesn't look too bad. But the point is to, I don't want to just sit there and press more dirt and debris up into my fork seal whenever I go in to actually do the cleaning. So that's relatively clean. So I got my boot down here at the bottom. We'll keep that out of the way so it doesn't get any damage. And then keep this guy right here above it just to capture any that leaks out. Remember, we're going to turn toward the hook so that as it goes, it pushes debris down. Expect to see some fluid come out. So I've got it toward me. I've got this pressed toward the fork seal. And we're going to go up and in. Around that guy. Got fluid coming out, that's okay. Now we're down. Look at that gunk. Grease and stuff that came out of there, but looks pretty nasty. So I'm just going to go through it one time right now. And what I can do is come up again, try to clean this out real well. And I'm going to wipe this guy until it's totally clean. I'm not seeing anything come back down. So maybe one more little wipe up here. Pretty stinking clean, maybe just a little bit more. All right. So now, with that clean, I'm going to grab the bars. I'm going to pump the forks a few times and see if anything comes out. All right, so there we have it. So the seal is all better now. Now all I got to do is just take our boot, slide that guy up, press him back on. Put our fender back on, clean up this fork oil that's leaked down toward the bottom here, and we are good to go. So we're all done now. Just going to put the fender back in place, wipe it back off a little bit more, and have this bad boy ready to get back on the road. But I think I kind of riff here for just a minute. You know, this fixing in this fork seal kind of ties back to something that I say all the time, and that's about keeping your bikes clean and well maintained. If you keep a bike clean, you can detect a leak or see a leak when you're keeping it clean and inspecting the bike very quickly. And a small leak could take a little bit longer, but if you end up having a large leak in your front fork seal and you don't see it because you either keep your bike dirty or you don't inspect your bike, it can turn into a wreck really quick. Because if that oil gets onto the side of your tire, which if you have enough leak or you have a long leak that you don't tend to for a while, it will. The first time you turn and that oil slick on your tire gets contact with the ground, your front end's going to wash out. So this is something that's, on one hand is fulfilling because you get to spend time with your precious motorcycle. But on the other hand is really a important safety thing to do, right? Because the last thing I want to do is go down on my bike, and even more so the last thing I want to do is go down on this bike, because this bike here is really special. This is a 2008 Ducati Monster S4 RS Tricolore. And Ducati likes making special bikes, and it's a good way for them to get money. But this bike in particular, before I had this one, I had a normal S4R, and it was the first kind of real big, high horsepower bike that I had owned. And it's just such a raw bike on top of that. So it took me several years to find an S4RS that, was in good condition. So I really appreciate this motorcycle. I think it's cool that it's number 13 of 400 that's made. I'm going to use a German spec. This is an Italian bike, but I'm going to use a German torque spec on here. I think it's good and tight. But anyways, and this bike to me is kind of like, I would say, one of the most pure motorcycles that there are, because it's raw. It's a lot of power. This bike dynoed at about 140 to the rear wheel after some modifications. And there's no electronics. It's not like this V4S sitting behind me. There's no analog brakes, no traction control, no nothing. There's a wire that goes straight to the throttle bodies and squirts gas into the engine. And it's got a dry clutch with no slipper. So it's a real deal, and it reminds you whenever you're messing up. So all the more reason to make sure that I maintain it properly so that it will keep me safe. Thanks for stopping in. Remember, do the research, learn how to work on your own stuff, take your time doing things. Taking the time it takes less time. And the other phrase is, I've never regretted doing anything the right way. But if you found this useful, give me a like. That stuff matters for some reason, so that more people can see it. Subscribe, comment your thoughts back. Maybe I said something wrong that you don't agree with. I'd be happy to debate that in the comments. And then again, check out the description. I've got the link to that little tool below, so you can check that out too. And then also, I would add that storing this thing by itself is not all that great, but it does come with this little piece right here that it clips onto some kind of way. I can get it on there. Okay, there we go. I'm just an idiot. And there we go. So it clips onto that, and then that'll protect it. So, I would imagine this thing will probably last you a lifetime. So cheap cost, you spend a few bucks on this, you save yourself $600 from the dealer scamming you on a fork seal replacement that's unnecessary, and you can spend that on gas, parts that you can put it on yourself, tools so you can work on stuff yourself more, all that stuff. So anyways, thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.